Muy buenos días y gracias por sumarse a otra de nuestras actividades online. Les recuerdo que este evento cuenta con traducción simultánea español-inglés, inglés-español, para la que solo tienen que elegir el idioma para el que quieren traducción en la imagen de globo en la parte inferior de sus pantallas, perdón. Please remember that simultaneous translation Spanish, English, Spanish is being provided for this event. You just need to click on the icon of a globe at the bottom of your screen and select the language for which you need interpretation. Retomamos hoy nuestra reconocida serie Embajadores, en la que conversamos con los embajadores de Chile de países de la cuenca del Pacífico sobre los principales aspectos de las relaciones bilaterales y de la coyuntura internacional con impacto regional. En esta ocasión conversaremos con la embajadora de Filipinas en nuestro país, Su Excelencia Celeste Vinzon-Balatbat. El diálogo con la embajadora es de gran relevancia para ambos países. En el centro está, desde luego, el avanzado estado de las negociaciones para acordar un acuerdo integral de cooperación económica, CEPA por sus siglas en inglés, asunto cuya importancia dimensionaremos en este encuentro. Si bien con algunos aspectos pendientes, las autoridades de ambos países están ciertas de una pronta concreción de este instrumento, el que en el caso de Chile se sumará a la red de acuerdos con los que cuenta en buena parte del mundo, incluida en gran medida la estratégica cuenca del Pacífico. Filipinas es el segundo país más poblado de la región ASEAN, la Asociación de Naciones del Sudeste Asiático, con cerca de 120 millones de habitantes, solo detrás de Indonesia, y el Banco Mundial la ha reclasificado recientemente como una economía de ingreso mediano alto, con $4.850 per cápita y una creciente clase media que es considerada el pilar de esta histórica mejora de categoría. ASEAN es una de las regiones de proyección estratégica más relevante para la política comercial de Chile, por lo inexplorados que permanecen sus mercados y el potencial diversificador para nuestros exportadores. Ambos países se enfrentan también desafíos compartidos en el turbulento escenario geopolítico y geoeconómico que transforma el mundo y que se deja sentir fuertemente en la cuenca del Pacífico, algo sobre lo cual también conversaremos esta mañana. Y para hablar de todos estos temas, entonces voy a pasar a presentar a la embajadora Celeste Vinzon-Balatbat. La embajadora es una diplomática de carrera que actualmente se desempeña como embajadora de Filipinas en Chile, con jurisdicción concurrente sobre Perú. Antes de asumir sus funciones en Santiago, fue la primera cónsul general en Nagoya, Japón. También ha desempeñado diversos cargos en las embajadas de Filipinas en Riad y Yakarta, incluyendo los de ministra y encargada de negocios ad interim en la embajada de Filipinas en Bandar Seri Begawan. Su labor en la sede central del Departamento de Asuntos Exteriores se ha centrado en asuntos económicos internacionales, incluyendo un trabajo sustantivo para PEC durante los años en que Filipinas ejerció la presidencia, 1996 y 2015, la promoción del comercio de servicios, las finanzas públicas, así como la formación diplomática y la investigación de políticas. En el sector privado, trabajó en gestión de riesgos en bancos privados como el Citibank en Manila. También se desempeñó en los ámbitos de publicaciones, investigación de políticas económicas y en docencia. Obtuvo su licenciatura en Economía en la Universidad de Filipinas, en Quezon City, en 1986. Cursó una maestría en Economía Internacional y del Desarrollo en la Universidad de Yale, Connecticut, Estados Unidos, como becaria Fulbright Hayes en 1990. Y obtuvo una maestría en Estudios Internacionales en la Escuela Diplomática, donde fue galardonada con el premio a la mejor tesis en 1999. Muy bien, embajadora, habiéndola presentado, I'm going to switch to English so we can have our dialogue now. And I'm going to start with some questions. You always can comment on other issues if you want to go further of what I'm asking you. But just to give you the start, I'm going to start with, sorry for the redundance. How would you say is Chile predominantly perceived among the Filipino export and business community at large? What would you say are the main aspects for which Chile is recognized in the Philippines that make the country an interesting destination in Latin America, both for trade and investments?
Thank you for the question. First of all, I would like to greet all of the members of the audience tuned in to this webinar. Thank you for joining us today, and special thanks to the Fundación Chilena del Pacífico for inviting me to be part of your ambassador series. This is a significant year for us because we are celebrating 80 years of diplomatic relations with Chile. And to go back to your question, Chile is perceived as a very progressive and highly developed economy in Latin America. Your country has been making inroads in exporting your products to the Philippines. Chilean wine, for example, is widely appreciated in the Philippines. But I am happy to know that you're also going to be, or you're starting to export blueberries. You will be exporting blueberries to the Philippines. Blueberries are one of my favorite fruits here in Chile. It's the second one. And I am just really glad that fresh blueberries from Chile will find their way to the Philippines. We also know that you export high quality meat products to the Philippines, and some of your producers were accredited by our authorities to be able to export to the Philippines. So Chile is very much perceived in a positive light in the Philippines. You're an economic powerhouse, a very dynamic and innovative economy.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. May I ask you which is your favorite fruit? Just to go back to
moras, blackberries.
Okay.
Yeah, I in my initial year here, I noted that they were available only for a season. But I noticed, for example, last year, they were available the whole year round. So
Indeed.
I was very happy about that. So even during winter, I get blackberries from the supermarket.
Well, I hope that we get to export blackberries as well to Philippines, along with other fruits, with the cherries, for example.
Yes, your cherries are also among the fruits I look forward to enjoying when they are in season, but not now, no?
Yes, and I hope that the Philippines, the Filipinos also will be able to enjoy them eventually. But we're going to talk more about what is going to be able to be exported easier to Philippines throughout my questions. So, Ambassador, after 4 rounds of negotiations, everything seems to indicate that Chile and the Philippines are about to seal this comprehensive economic partnership agreement known as CEPA. From a Filipino point of view, what does this agreement with Chile mean in terms of the Philippines' trade expansion in Latin America? And also on the other way around, what does it mean to Chile in terms of expansion of its exports to Philippines?
Okay. First of all, I want to highlight that the CEPA being negotiated with Chile is our first free trade agreement with a Latin American country. Latin America is considered, I would say, a frontier market for us. And so we feel this is a way for us to diversify our markets and make Philippine products known in this part of the world. For Chile, I guess what comes to mind right away is, as you highlighted, the big consumer market in the Philippines. We're a population of around 110 million consumers. And so it's an attractive export market for Chilean producers. I think not just for your agricultural products, but probably we have potentials to expand our trade in services. That's actually one area where I hope Chile will be receptive to trade in services. For example, the Philippines has a very vibrant franchise industry. We have not just foreign franchise concepts which are thriving in the Philippines, but also Philippine franchise concepts. I'm not just talking about food, but also non-food franchise concepts. And our Philippine Franchise Association hosts an international franchise conference every year. We hope that eventually the stakeholders of Fundación Chilena del Pacífico will include our country in their travel plans eventually and time their travel to our part of the world during the holding of this franchise conference. Now, although we call it a CEPA, although for all intents and purposes, it's a free trade agreement. But I think the beauty of this CEPA is that it goes beyond trade in goods. It encompasses trade in services. It encompasses areas such as investment, intellectual property, economic and technical cooperation, financial services, environment, micro, small, and medium enterprises, and even trade and gender. So it's very comprehensive, and I believe that our negotiators are working very hard to conclude the technical negotiations very soon.
Thank you, Ambassador. Can I bring you back to this franchise conference? What does it mean? What is it? Because for me, it's new.
Thank you for your question. We have what we call the Philippine Franchise Association. This is an industry association of people who are operating a franchise business. So franchise, it's like, for example, you have, I guess you hear what comes to mind is something like McDonald's.
Yes.
It is not so much the food, but the way you run the business, the way, you know, your systems in place. Maybe you even have a commissary supplying the actual products that will be prepared by the restaurant. So the whole concept, even the advertisement for the product. So maybe I should have chosen a different nationality for a franchise concept, but McDonald's is the one that is widely known.
Yeah.
In the Philippines, for example, one of our most popular franchise concepts is Jollibee, which is a direct competitor of McDonald's. And in the Philippine market, it is Jollibee, which is dominant.
Okay.
Jollibee is also, it's a quick service restaurant, just like McDonald's, but it has also been expanding its reach to locations such as the United States and Canada. So it's very aggressive. It even has stores in Europe. I know that Jollibee has, I think it has a presence in London, for example, and even in Italy. So the idea is that the Philippines has to offer these franchise concepts as business opportunities. So if I were an investor, I don't have to start from scratch. There's already a system in place. It's available to you. You pay the franchise fee, and then the franchisor is going to be your business partner, essentially.
Yeah.
So this is something that I feel has potentials in Chile, and we're not just talking about food. There are also services. For example, a garment store. It's not just selling garments, it's exporting the whole concept. So this is a form of, I guess you could say, GATS Mode 3, commercial presence abroad, if the franchise concept is exported to another country, like the United States or Chile. So it's a form of trade in services. And I spent a great deal of my time in the home office working on trade in services. Actually, I was very happy to learn that Fundación Chilena del Pacífico is very much involved in supporting ABAC here in Chile, because in my past life, I was doing a lot of work on APEC issues. And had interaction with our ABAC members way back then.
Wow. Well, indeed, Ambassador, the Chile Pacific Foundation, it's the national secretariat for ABAC here in Chile. So we support the work of our representatives in this council, in this business council. And indeed, I know all of your members, which are very active, and we are very close to them. And so it's been great working in this business club, I would say, and you can know a lot about the culture, speaking about business and trade and environmental issues, all those things that are tackled within the council. It gives you an insight of what's going on in each of the economies. We talk about economies in APEC, not countries, but it's been very interesting. And actually, I did travel to Philippines many years ago, and I was very impressed by Manila and all what's going on. So all this that you're telling me, and I'm sure that for many of the ones in our audience now, it's going to sound rather new, because Philippines still not that well known here, but it's a vibrant country, a vibrant economy, and the many opportunities. So that's why we thought that it was very interesting for people to know what's going on and about this bilateral trade agreement that we're almost ready to sign, because of all this that you're mentioning. And it's very interesting to learn about this franchise association, about this business that you have with in the franchise world, something new. So I think it's very interesting to learn, and it's a easier way to move investments, I think, or promote investment. No, it's.
Loreto, in case you have listeners or members of the foundation who would like to know more about the franchise industry in the Philippines, please ask them to reach out to us directly, and we will be happy to provide them the information they need and connect them with our contacts in the Philippines, especially with the Industry Association, which is very, very active in promoting the franchise industry in the Philippines.
No, wonderful. I'm sure that some people from the audience right now are taking note of this. It's very interesting, Ambassador. So, and if we get the request of information, we will send them directly to the embassy so they can have more information. So.
Actually, if there is a critical mass of people who are interested in this, we can work closely with you to organize something. For example, a webinar. We can invite our contacts in the Philippine franchise industry to talk give a talk, give a briefing on the industry, on franchise concepts which are available, businesses that are very vibrant in the Philippines at this time, and respond directly to inquiries from your members or your stakeholders.
Yeah, wonderful, Ambassador. That's a great idea because it's something innovative, at least for us. And to learn that you have this industry, it's very interesting. So we will work on that in the near future. So it's been great to know about that. So now going back to our bilateral trade, in 2025, merely reached $143.5 million, which is a really tiny number. And actually, it went down by more than 11% over the last 5 years, till from 258.4 billion in 2020. So in this context, are you optimistic that this agreement that we were talking about will improve these numbers?
I am very much optimistic that the numbers will improve. Actually, in the case of the Philippines, we have yet to recover our the pre-pandemic level of exports to Chile. But I am hopeful that with this agreement, the trade is going to increase, because we're not just talking about liberalization of trade through the CEPA. We're also talking about facilitation of trade, meaning simplification of customs procedures. I believe this is going to be very beneficial for our exporters of goods, both from Chile and from the Philippines. One of our big stumbling blocks in increasing our bilateral trade has been the physical distance. We're halfway around the world. But we cannot do anything about the physical distance unless somebody invents the technology for teleporting, you know. But we can simplify customs procedures. We can simplify maybe even the fact that Chile is developing an initiative in Antofagasta, the bioceanic tropic of
corridor.
Yes, the corridor that links Antofagasta all the way to Brazil.
Yes.
We visited Antofagasta, and we were given an ocular tour of the port and the facilities that have yet to be built. And we were given a briefing on the additional port facilities that are going to be built in Antofagasta. I think it is going to be a good complement to your ports in Valparaiso.
Yes.
Because right now, most of your, for example, blackberry exports are being shipped from your ports in Valparaiso. And most of the exports that are being shipped from Antofagasta are your mining exports. But if that port is developed, once that corridor is developed, it's also a good take-off point for the Asia Pacific, for our part of the Pacific. And it makes Chile an even more strategic gateway for other economies in Latin America.
Indeed, Ambassador, exactly. And well, I don't know if you're aware, but we held a webinar on this corridor about a couple of months ago, and we did it because this project it's I don't know 30 years old more or less, and so it's been there for a long time. But it seems like now it's really going to be something concrete, and in that sense, as you mentioned, Antofagasta will gain a significant relevance in terms of exports, not only of Chilean products, but for products coming from Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina as well. So it is indeed a very important issue that is gonna facilitate our trade. And also, I think that the port in Chancay that expedites now the exports could facilitate transporting some of these goods to other countries of the region, no?
Loreto, actually, speaking of Antofagasta, there is a Philippine company. It's a port operator that that has a big presence here in Latin America. It's ICTSI. The initials are ICTSI. It has operations in, for example, Argentina. It has an office in Panama. I know its office in Latin America is located in Panama. It also has operations in Ecuador, and we reached out to this company and provided information on the ports being developed in Antofagasta with the hope that it will have an interest in participating in the business development of the ports in Antofagasta, because there will be 3 ports there, right? I mean, in addition to the port of Antofagasta, there are 2 additional ports that are supposed to be developed as part of this initiative. So we hope this Philippine port operator will also consider doing business, investing in Chile. So it becomes a two-way street.
Yes, no, absolutely. It would be very interesting, Ambassador, and we hope it will be nice to have some that kind of investment in Chile coming from Philippines as a port operator. And well, I think that the doors are open. I know that there are other companies from Asia interested in investment as well in the development of this port. So it's an interesting field to explore, and it will contribute to the bilateral trade, no? Ambassador, I'm going to come back to some details on the CEPA again. Despite substantial progress on the trade negotiations, SADRE reported a few days ago that some aspects as to trade in goods and trade and investment facilitation still need some work. What are those elements in particular, and what are the prospects to get them resolved in the short term?
What I know is that the main stumbling block has been market access, because in any free trade agreement, the heart is really market access.
Yeah.
But the 2 sides are talking, and I think what is necessary is to have, I guess, flexibilities are important in any negotiation, and understanding each other's viewpoint. Looking at the perspective of the other side to see what is the reason why my counterpart is unable to give me what I am requesting. And maybe having the capability to also step back and see how the 2 sides can arrive at a compromise. It's very interesting. I stumbled upon this video. A mathematician was giving a talk, and he said that many ways when you try to solve a problem, it is not usually the most direct way. For example, it's like rock climbing. You don't reach you don't go from point A to point B in a straight line. Sometimes you have to maybe turn right, turn left, you have to have a curved path. So maybe that that's a very appropriate mindset in arriving at an agreement that there can be phases in the way you reach what you want. So I am not directly involved in the negotiations, but I am just saying that it's always good to understand where each side is coming from and arrive at a balance of benefits. Because for an agreement to really be beneficial, it can't be one-sided. It has to benefit two sides. We also have to recognize that each negotiator has stakeholders back home.
Yeah.
And eventually you will be answerable to these stakeholders, whether it's your industry producers, or your consumers, or even your legislators who have to approve the ratification of the agreement. So that's how I see it. Both sides need to have flexibility and a mindset of arriving at a balance of benefits. Because at the end of the day, the CEPA should benefit both Chile and the Philippines.
Yes. I'm sure that both sides are looking for that. So I'm sure we're going to end in a good place. I hope that very soon. That's the expectation. And Ambassador, about the MSMEs, the agreement will also include a chapter dedicated to them. What specific opportunities do you envision for SMEs once the CEPA is in place? Furthermore, how would you assess the experience of the Philippines in encouraging SMEs internationalization, which is something that is always hard? It's a challenge that we have as a country as well. So what is your experience, and what things are included in this CEPA that you think will help this objective?
Actually, I want to go back to franchise concepts, because I think this is one way to promote small and medium enterprises. Not all franchise concepts are as big as Jollibee or McDonald's.
Yeah.
Some of the franchise concepts involve, for example, having a food cart. That is a franchise, and that is a small or even a micro enterprise. I also think that for small and medium enterprises to thrive internationally, there will have to be some support. I guess I'm not talking about financial support from the government, but more of, I guess, empowering them to participate in the international economy and helping them become more competitive. Probably some assistance. For example, if I'm an exporter of goods, I want some help in learning how to package my products so that they will be more internationally accepted. I want to understand, for example, what makes my product more attractive to consumers. How do I package it? It's not enough that I wrap it in plastic and stick a sticker on the packaging. So things like that. Those are ways for government to assist. I also think that industry associations, and probably this is where Fundación Chilena del Pacífico can also add value. to empowering micro, small, and medium enterprises by contributing to the sharing of knowledge or sharing of expertise so that these enterprises will feel empowered to do their business. So you help them help themselves through support from government and from experienced members of the business sector.
Yeah, indeed, Ambassador. And also the trade missions are very important. I think these governmental trade missions where they are able to invite some SMEs to learn how works the market. Also, your office here, you have a commercial office, I'm sure, at the embassy that also provides.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
We're working on it. Yeah, Loreto, you talked about trade promotion. I should highlight that Pro-Chile has been very active in promoting Chilean products abroad, and I think that is a very important form of support from government to empower your small and medium enterprises to compete abroad.
Yeah, indeed. They have a huge role, and they've done very well in the last years, specifically promoting MSMEs to reach these new markets in the ASEAN region. Ambassador, you mentioned that also there's a chapter that has to do with investments, no? So what do you see that is the most potential for Chilean investors in the Philippines? Are there prioritized sectors of the Philippines economy which offer good value for money opportunities in your country? And the other way around, do you foresee some impact on Filipino investment in Chile as a result of the CEPA? Well, you already mentioned what could be attractive in terms of ports, but I don't know, within the CEPA, which are the areas that have been incorporated or you foresee that would be interesting to explore?
Thank you, Loreto. The Philippines has a strategic investment priority plan. This is a blueprint that identifies key economic activities and emerging industries. So I can share with you some of the industries included in this priority plan. So for example, high value essential sectors include modern agricultural technologies in agriculture. And this is one area where Chile is very, very strong. Your agricultural producers extensively use technology from the time that you plant from the planting to the harvesting to the packaging and even to the transporting of, for example, the blueberries. So use of technologies in agriculture. There's also fisheries. Well, Chile is the world's second biggest exporter of salmon. So you are very strong in fisheries. There's also forestry and high value processed agricultural products. A second area would be strategic and critical supply chain resilience. So these are for intermediate services and critical goods that are not yet produced locally and import substituting industry. So for example, green mobility and electric vehicles are one of the areas in this area. And finally, the third is next generation technology, and this investment priorities plan is keen to invite investors or attract investments in artificial intelligence, data science, quantum computing, and cybersecurity. But let me just point to one sector where I think Chile has, and which I have not mentioned here, but in which Chile has a comparative advantage. And this is how you have been harnessing renewable energy to decrease Chile's dependence on fossil fuels. I have, for example, visited the HIF Global facility in Punta Arenas, where it produces green hydrogen, e-fuels. I've also seen, I have been to one of your solar farms in Atacama. We're in the process of arranging a visit to a wind farm. I have talked to someone from a wind farm, but I want to see an actual wind farm. I think this is one area where we can invite investments. You have a lot of expertise in Chile, and we're also starting to really get into renewable energy. We have companies in the Philippines that are also into solar energy. We also have wind farms, but I think for example, your solar farms in Chile, specifically in Atacama, are I've seen how state of the art they are and how they use a lot of technology to operate the solar farm. Like one of the farms I visited, I think has only less than 20 people operating the entire farm, and it's a big facility. So the use of technology, even in HIF Global, they had like just a few people operating the entire plant. So they use a lot of technology. And I think this is one area where Chile, one of the strengths of Chile, we can not only learn from your best practices, but I think there's a potential for your investors to consider bringing that technology into the Philippines and investing in companies that are also doing that are also operating in the renewable energy sector. I think with what, especially after what happened in the Middle East this year,
Yes.
It all the more made us more conscious of the need to lower our dependence on fossil fuels. So it is not just good for the environment, but it's also to make us less vulnerable to supply shocks like what occurred this year.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Well, I'm just going to take a minute to ask for the audience if they have any questions. You may put them in our chat or in the Q&A button that we have for that, because I see some people from the halal industry, and I will take this opportunity to ask you, Ambassador, what about the halal foods? What are the possibilities?
Okay. We are also trying to develop our halal industry. I know that this is under our Department of Trade and Industry. It says here that they're interested in establishing direct communication with the embassy. We've taken a screenshot of the email. And we shall get in touch with Chile Halal Calidad. So we'll reach out to them directly on how we can work closely with them. Maybe we can invite them to pay us a visit at the embassy so we can talk some more. But yes, we are developing our halal industry because we also have a big population of Muslim consumers.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess that, it's a coincidence. I didn't know that they were going to pose this question. I just saw them in the audience and thought that they would be interested to know about them. Well, there's another question from Sebastián Vargas and says, how do you foresee the dairy exports towards Philippines from Chile?
Thank you. I hope you will export dairy products to Chile because those are among the products I enjoy the most in Chile. I like your yogurt, especially the endulzado, the yogurt natural pero endulzado. I like that very much. I will not say what brand I buy, but yes, I like that. And your cheeses are the various types of cheese available here in Chile are of very high quality. So please, by all means, your dairy products are welcome to the Philippines.
Wonderful. So they should start contacting the embassy to see what are the possibilities
I hope it is not just to export dairy products, but also to consider investing in the Philippines so that and this goes not just for the dairy industry, but also for the other companies in Chile because you have this. As I said, the geographic distance is really difficult to surmount. But if you have a presence in, for example, the Philippines, it's much easier to tap into the rest of the ASEAN market and other nearby markets within Asia. Chile has a pending application to accede to the RCEP.
Yes.
And RCEP, for those who are not yet aware, is like a big free trade agreement involving 15 economies. Conversely, the Philippines has a pending application or has applied to accede to the CPTPP. We are not yet a member of CPTPP, but the Philippines has formally expressed interest in joining CPTPP. So I think there are many possibilities for increased trade between our two countries, not just because of the CEPA, but also because of the opportunities that can be afforded by, for example, once Chile is able to formally join RCEP and once the Philippines is formally able to join the CPTPP. But the CEPA is a good takeoff point for our two economies.
Absolutely. And Ambassador, you just mentioned it in your answer. You said that is it possible that the Philippines could work as a gateway to other countries in the region as well, both in terms of trade and investment?
Yes, we're strategically located. We're in the heart of Southeast Asia, and we likewise consider Chile as a gateway to Latin America. So let's help each other encourage more intra-regional trade, and we really look to the CEPA as an instrument or an avenue for making that happen.
Wonderful. And Ambassador, you mentioned, we were talking about the renewable energy and how it has become even more valuable now that after what happened in the Middle East. In terms of geopolitics now, the Philippines is a key ally of the US in the Asia Pacific, and it has a strained relationship with China, with which it endures territorial and maritime disputes What is the overall assessment of the Philippines as to the fragile geopolitical equilibrium across the region? In this sense, would you say we're all going through a delicate phase, particularly in the Pacific? And how medium-sized economies like yours and ours could face, because we're facing similar challenges in this area, how would you see that we could work together in trying to overcome this situation, this new scenario?
First of all, even if we have a dispute with China involving our maritime rights, that is not the single most defining aspect of our relationship. Our bilateral relations with China go beyond are deeper than that. Actually, I just want to share that the world's oldest Chinatown happens to be in the Philippines.
Oh, really?
Yes. We have a big community of Filipino Chinese. So these are Filipinos whose ancestors or whose grandparents had come from China. Among our most active, among the most active members of the Philippine business community are business people of Chinese origin. For example, the Xi family, which operates SM, that's a big holding company, and other Taipans who are from the Filipino Chinese community. We also have, we have a lot of Chinese influence in our own culture. Even a lot of our food are of Chinese origin. So what I'm saying is the political dispute is not going to be the defining aspect of our relations, because our relations stand on several legs. It is not just the dispute in the maritime domain, but also we have cultural people-to-people ties. We have it is one of our biggest trading partners, and it is, you know, it's part of the Asia Pacific. We all have a common interest in the peace, stability, and prosperity of the region. And so I think that considerations such as this will not be the only, will not be the defining factor in the relationship. I know there was a second part to your question.
Yeah, about how middle-sized economies like yours and ours could work together, or I don't know.
Thank you. This is where countries like Chile and the Philippines can cooperate more, and this is in helping ensure that the multilateral system, the international order, is strengthened, because rule of law is important for countries like us. For us, might is not right. For us, right is might. So we need to strengthen adherence to international law. We need to strengthen the multilateral system. We need to see to it that trade flows remain unimpeded, so that international trade remains unimpeded, so that countries like Chile and the Philippines can continue to prosper, can continue to develop. So really, this goes back to our bilateral relations. One of the foundations of our bilateral relations is really our shared values. We both are committed to human rights. We are both committed to international law. We are both committed to the peaceful settlement of disputes. And it is these core values shared not just by Chile and the Philippines, but also like-minded countries that I think is important to mobilize to see to it that we maintain peace, security, and stability in the rest of the world.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. We're almost getting to our last minutes, but there's another question from Carmen Gloria Cerda, and it's very specific, but I really wanted to put it through. And it says about the wine exports to Philippines. How do you see that possibility? Is the Filipino community wine drinker? Is it an attractive market for us? What would you say about that?
Okay, I think there's a growing interest in drinking wine, although we're more of, well, not me, but the general population, we love beer, just like Chile. But there's also a market for wine, and we invite you to export more Chilean wine to the Philippines, because it's always good to have variety of wines, and you have very good wines here in Chile, especially your Carmener.
Yeah.
So I think it's always good for consumers to have more options. Maybe if they have a taste of Chilean wine, they will consider drinking more wine and less beer. I don't know, or both. As long as they drink moderately, it should be okay.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ambassador. And well, we have almost reached our time. I just wanted to thank you again for being with us today in this very interesting dialogue. We have learned a lot more of the possibilities of our relationship, what are the challenges as well, and the opportunities. So it has been very, very interesting, and I'm sure that our audience now have a lot more to think about Philippines. And thank you so much, and we hope that we can see you soon, and that the CEPA is also concluded soon as well.
Loreto, in case some of the members of your audience have additional questions, please feel free to direct them to the Philippine Embassy. We're happy to connect with your members and engage them if they have specific concerns, if they have any questions. Please let them know that the embassy is just here in Santiago, and we'll be happy to engage them.
Okay, indeed.
I also want to highlight that given that this is we're celebrating 80 years of diplomatic relations with Chile this year. We have a series of activities, and the reception and concert that we had on June 25 at Teatro Carabineros is just one of a series of activities that we have. We'll make sure to keep you in our invitation list for our future activities lined up for this year.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. It will be a pleasure to join you in celebrating these 80 years of relationships. And also, we hope to have you soon again in other of our webinars and with further news about the strengthening of this relationship. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a nice day. And also, thank you to the audience. Thank you very much for the questions, and we'll see you soon in one of our other webinars that we held every 2 weeks, more or less. So thank you so much, Ambassador. Very nice meeting you as well.
Muchas gracias y que tengan un buen día.
Muchas gracias, embajadora, igualmente. Hasta luego, muchas gracias.